Well, the circus goes on at Chelsea, but what happens next, mate?
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Namaste, friends. Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Yan. Hope you're doing well. Genuinely do hope that. Chelsea news, welcome back. Here at the desk, more relaxed podcast format in your ears from your host, Yan, talking about potential candidates to take over the Chelsea job. Of course, Chelsea Football Club, the hierarchy are looking to make a appointment as quick as possible, giving us ample time to prepare for the pre-season and indeed the upcoming campaign, where of course we'll be returning into Europe in the Europa League. Now I'm going to go through some coaches that Fabrizio Romano has confirmed Chelsea aren't currently talking to and not looking at, that perhaps have previously been linked to Chelsea. So, for the moment, Fabrizio Romano clearing up some rumours and 4 coaches who we have spoken about. And I'll give my thoughts on each manager. I was going to say gentleman, but spoiler, they are men, gentlemen. Look. Many people are still understandably upset. There is now a long read out on The Athletic about the parting way, should we say, of Pochettino from Chelsea. I'm yet to read that. I kind of aggregated as much information as I could at the time and done a video on Pochettino leaving Chelsea, which was released this morning on Wednesday. So I'm not really going to go over that again, certainly not in any detail. So if you want the information on Pochettino, go watch the previous upload. Today we're talking about potential managerial candidates as things warm up and it looks like we're closing in on a new manager. I will probably do an office style studio video analysing the potential coach and how they play and how that would work with Chelsea. A bit of an old school football therapy style video I think I'll do. Yan the Statman, tactics, and all that, mate. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about these coaches, so thank you for joining me. As always, if you want to support the content, you're welcome to. My friends, super easy. Like the video, comment and share, and if you choose to subscribe, hit that bell notifications icon. Alright, mate, let's get into it. So, it's worth mentioning starting with the managers who currently are being spoken to, and I'd say in the order of how unlikely they are. So again, this is coming from Fabrizio Romano. I'm actually getting this from @blue_footy on Twitter, X, Chelsea news aggregator. So first of all, Jose Mourinho. You're welcome back anytime, Jose, as that man once sang in that video. Mourinho's no way is he coming to Chelsea. As much as some Chelsea fans are romanticising about the idea of his return to bring their Chelsea blue heart back, he is the antithesis of what the current owners and sporting directors, rightly or wrongly, everyone's entitled to their opinion, what they're trying to do. Mourinho is quite literally the opposite. They want a young possession coach that's going to work within a structure, cause no problems, and play in a possession style way. Was Mourinho out? Draw a line through Jose Mourinho. And similarly, Antonio Conte, of course, ex-Chelsea coaches are currently free agents. And Antonio Conte, you might think, again, the last Chelsea manager to win the Premier League. He went on to win another league title in a different league with Inter. He is a free agent, he's a very good coach, and he might see profiles of players in the Chelsea team that he thinks, this could work with my free-back system. But yeah, not going to happen. Of course, I know it was the previous ownership, Roman Abramovich, and Conte massively fell out with Marina Granovskaya, and he ended up suing Chelsea, remember, when he left. Although he'll view that as the previous ownership, and I do wonder, had Chelsea approached him like, you want this job? He might have said yes, but he would have obviously been like, yes, if you buy me 10 35-year-olds all on 300k a week that have all won titles. That's the only way I'm going to do this. Similarly, like Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte is not being discussed and will not be considered. And finally, to finish the Chelsea trio, Thomas Tuchel. absolutely no chance Tuchel's coming back. There's reports from Germany saying he'd like to come back to Chelsea. I'd be very surprised if he'd like to come back and work with these owners, but they will certainly not work with him. Not only did they not work in terms of how Chelsea are now structured, there was also, unpublished controversy. And from my own personal perspective, I think Tuchel's stock's quite low at the moment, finishing third in the Bundesliga, and just not... I know Bayern was trending negatively, but even last season, he got very lucky to win the Bundesliga last season. Dortmund should have won it, so that could have been 2 seasons in a row. Tuchel failed to win the Bundesliga. After winning 10 in a row. I don't think Tuchel's trending in the right direction. Again, it's romance. He's did well for us. Let's bring him back. And to be honest, all 3 of these coaches, Mourinho, Conte, and Tuchel, they're passionate, cheerleaders, aren't they, in Stamford Bridge? And they say the right things. I mean, Conte was quite boring actually when he spoke, but certainly Mourinho and Tuchel, are very charming, in their own way, aren't they? And they sort of get you under their spell. And Chelsea fans feel disconnected. And of course, Pochettino's quite a charming guy, but the Tottenham links never went away, did they? He never tried to really to kindle like a relationship with Stamford Bridge, because he knew you had to win something first because of the Tottenham past life, so he didn't really get a chance. Although we've read in these updates that in the new coach, the new appointment will have to be this coach to make a... That's been reported that they want the new manager to have a relationship with the fans. So, yeah, I'm just going to sip my drink quickly. Delicious. So the Chelsea trio are out. Who else have been ruled out, Yannick? Well, Conceição of Porto has been ruled out. Which, yeah... makes sense. He does seem like quite a Chelsea manager, doesn't he? Sergio Conceição, Conceição. How do you say it? Something like that. You know what I mean? The Porto manager. He's incredibly... I think he's quite young as well. How old is he? Is he that young? I'm just going to double check now as I speak to you. He's 49, so he's not that young. He looks about 49. He's in his 40s, so he's not an old manager. But he's hella... he does got a touch of Chelsea about him, about sugar housing, or vintage noughties Chelsea. Still, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want him at Chelsea. Fabrizio Romano has ruled out him as a Pochettino replacement. Okay, so others here as well. There's another sort of senior manager in Hansi Flick. Of course, was most recently the German national team manager. Didn't really go well for him. Prior to that, he won the treble with Bayern Munich, which is good. I remember Frank Lampard's Chelsea came up against Hansi Flick's Bayern Munich. We got slapped up. They won the treble. Lewandowski should have won the Ballon d'Or that season, but it was cancelled that season, so he didn't get it. Apparently, they're considering retrospectively giving it to him, which they absolutely should. He, in so many seasons, sorry to digress for a moment, but in so many seasons... when it's been quite close for the Ballon d'Or and people argue over who it should be, like Messi or Haaland or whatever, it was no one else but Lewandowski in that season. So the most obvious season, he got robbed. He won the treble and he was the top scorer in every single competition. So, yeah, absolutely wild. They should give that to him. Anyway, I digress. Hansi Flick's Bayern Munich. I mean, you talk about how disappointing Thomas Tuchel's Bayern Munich is. Hansi Flick's Bayern Munich was absolutely insane. But I've got no reason to believe he'll come to Chelsea and be good, because he was like an assistant coach, and then he was like a treble-winning coach. You got to think it was that Bayern vintage, that Chelsea 2012, where the team is just too good to fail. Maybe I don't want to do him disservice. I think he probably is quite good. But I think he's in his 50s, Hansi Flick. I'm going to double check while I'm talking to you, because I don't want to be incorrect. He's 59! God, he looks good for 59. What's your secret? Yeah, so he's not a young coach. Therefore, he is also ruled out. Now, in the final knows, or currently knows, that Fabrizio Romano has confirmed, one is Vincent Kompany, and can we all just have a collective sigh of relief? Phew. No disrespect to Big Vinny. Obviously an amazing season in the Championship. But yeah, relegated manager of Burnley that had a lot of naive play. I mean, come on. He's not the one to go from 6th upwards. I think Vincent Kompany might have a great future in management, but yeah, no, thank you. And finally, in the nose, or like I said, the managers that are not being contacted with Chelsea at the moment, is Roberto De Zerbi. Now, of course, De Zerbi's already going somewhere. And the story is that Brighton have had a compensation clause paid to them for Roberto De Zerbi to go to another club, which is really interesting because I reckon it's out of the Premier League then. It might be a big Italian club, to speculate. I'm not sure. Of course, his stock's very high still, despite having a disappointing finish with Brighton. But of course, he did lose Caicedo and McAllister, his midfield. And when he had them, he finished in a Europa League spot. So his stock is still high. I don't want De Zerbi. I don't find it. Maybe I'm tainted because it's just another Brighton asset. But yeah, not for me, mate. Roberto De Zerbi. I just don't fancy it. Anyway, so if this report is true that his clause has been paid and he's off somewhere, and you've got someone like Fabrizio Romano saying Chelsea aren't having any contact with him, that to me is categorically not going to Chelsea because he's going somewhere else. So obviously, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not saying definitively. I'm only reacting to what's out there available in the news. But if you're like me and you're not interested in Roberto De Zerbi, you can think, sweet. So 4 managers are currently under discussion. I'm sorry, guys, because many of you are not, I don't know why I'm laughing. But life's funny, isn't it? If you don't enjoy yourself, what's the point? It's about football's about the friends we made along the way, It's about having fun. Look, we've had fun, haven't we? We had a good run, right? So there's 4 managers under discussion. I don't want to do them disrespect because individually they've probably all very good. So I'm going to tell you the managers, and then I am going. And I'm going to go, sorry, I'm just still laughing, comment on them. So, Sebastian Hoeneß, the Stuttgart manager. Thomas Frank of Brentford. Yeah. And then 2 championship managers in Kieran McKenna and Enzo Maresca. Okay, so we'll talk about them. So, we know they want the young manager, but what we've heard in reports, is they want a possession-style manager so you can concede less goals and defend better. And only one is that, so I won't spoil it. I'll go for others first. Firstly, I put on my Instagram at Football Yannick. I'd be quite interested in Sebastian Hoeneß. Hoeneß? I think that's how you say it. Of course, they finished 2nd in the Bundesliga, his Stuttgart team, and Guirassy scored 28 goals in 25 appearances, and he's 28 years old. So I think if we could get him and the striker, that would be great because we need a senior striker to play over Jackson. He's 6 years older than Jackson. He's not past it and he's still mobile. He scores a lot of goals and he scores a lot of goals under this young, good manager. I think he's 42 or something. He's still young. He's a good coach and they had a really strong goal difference, nearly 40 or something in the league. And they just seem like a really well-coached, really good team that knows how to get a lot of goals out of a striker. Sounds good to me. The only issue is he rejected Bayern. That's not an issue. Chelsea could be more alluring than Bayern, certainly at the moment, because Bayern does this just seem like an absolute, more of a circus than us. I'm regurgitating what people have said on the Football Ramble podcast when they were discussing this. And I thought they were going to stick the boot in on Chelsea, and they actually came to the defence of the decision of parting ways with Pochettino, which I was quite shocked to hear. But then again, it made sense. They talked about what Pochettino's like as a character. He did well, it's gone well this season, but maybe it won't go well next season. And actually, maybe it's quite smart because of the different ways of going. My mind has literally just gone blank there. Sebastian Hoeneß. Sorry, I had a pop-up come up on my screen, an email, and it completely threw me off, and I lost my trail of thinking. I can't remember what I was saying about the football ramble. Anyway, Sebastian Hoeneß, Stuttgart manager. Oh yes, rejecting Bayern. They were speaking about every manager's rejecting Bayern at the moment, but actually they are more of a basket case than Chelsea. That's what I was going to say. Whereas Chelsea, as much as you might criticise their plan, and many have, understandably, there is a plan in theory. Where Bayern don't have a plan. They're just literally freaking out and interviewing loads of different managers, which, by the way, we've done before. If you look at when we hired Maurizio Sarri, we were looking at loads like coaches that would Sarri, this like dogmatic philosophical coach. We were looking at coaches that are completely different to him. So there was no joined up thinking with old Chelsea then as well. And that's kind of like when Chelsea started to trend downwards after we'd won the title. So we were like, no disrespect to Sarri, won Europa League or whatever. But in terms of running like a club and business, we were already going downhill domestically, and it was sort of relying on vibes. That's kind of where Bayern Munich are now, by the way. And these clubs that want to find a sustainable way of functioning is in theory what the club are trying to do now. So anyway, Sebastian Hoeneß, good coach, young coach, second with Stuttgart, massively overperformed, trending in the right direction. But one thing, he's basically nailed his colours to the Stuttgart mast. He wants to stay at Stuttgart. Next season they're playing really well, kind of like Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen, similar vibe. Of course, they finished second to Bayer Leverkusen, and because of that, Chelsea like him, but because of that, he's expected to stay unless Chelsea can convince him to come. My only gripe with this is everything we read is. The big criticism of Pochettino is that even though we found form towards the end, we were never safe in games, right? We were always letting the opposition in, and it was never like a professional win, apart from maybe like, Everton when we blew them away, and there was always this like, oh, and at the end of every game, we were all cheering from our sofas or in Stamford Bridge, but we never felt safe. And the idea is you bring in a possession coach so you can literally just control games and you don't give the opposition hope to get back into it. Now, all but one, Hoeneß plays direct. Thomas Frank plays direct with Brentford. Kieran McKenna often plays direct with Ipswich. So, do they really want him? And do you think he's going to come and play that sort of safe style of football? I mean, he is a great coach. And should we sign him and get Guirassy, for example, with him, I'd be very pleased with that. Now, Thomas Frank of Brentford, he's very much like the Roberto De Zerbi, like overperforming in a smaller club. And look, I do quite like Thomas Frank as a coach. He's it's like he's a bit of a, I don't know, he's this funny looking, like really gregarious little man. I don't mean little as in like in a derogatory sense. Like he's quite petite, and he's apparently players love him, and he's an excellent coach, and he is like a prime example of working within a structure. Like Brentford are hailed rightly for their structure and how they are made up as a club, and what Chelsea are trying to do, where they look at him and go, well, he can do it there, he's just scaling upwards. But it does very much feel like Graham Potter 2.0 personally, although he's a much more he's a bigger character. He's got more charisma than Graham Potter, which might suit Chelsea dressing room, the Chelsea fans as well. But look, Thomas Frank's not young as well. How old's Thomas Frank? He's one of those guys that are really hard to like identify their age. And also, like, I don't want to bang on about this, but their main thing is like they want young. He's 50, bro. I know, like, but even just the 5 years. Even just like the 5 years, like 50 to 45, anything from like 45 and younger as a coach is young. Like you can't say 50 years old as a young coach. I'm sorry, So I don't know. I don't think. And of course, you got the two championship promoted managers. Firstly, Kieran McKenna. Of course, he's got the experience of Man United, being on the Man United bench. He's meant to be amazing, like because to get back-to-back promotions into the Championship and into the Premier League is sensational stuff. How, like, to get into the Championship, once you get into the Championship, like, unless you need the Premier League money, it's a massive achievement, and then teams will just be in the Championship for, like, decades. It's so hard to get out of the Championship, and to get out of the Championship after just being promoted, that is, like, an incredible feat. And, like, let's do the age check, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, Kieran McKenna. He is 38, so he very much suits is the young coach, and he's likely to reject a new deal at Ipswich. He's got, of course, Brighton looking at him. A lot of people would say Brighton would be the perfect profile of club for him to go to. Chelsea would be too big a jump. I don't know, man. Like, it just seems way too risky to be like, here's a nearly swore, here's a ruddy billion-dollar squad, you championship manager. I don't want to call him a championship manager because I feel like he deserves just this profound amount of immense respect, so I don't want to do him dirty. Hey, look, he's had back-to-back promotions. Who knows? Give him a Premier League team and he'll win the Premier League. That's how it goes, right? That's what the data trend is suggesting. Yeah. Okay, and finally, you've got Enzo Maresca. Is that how you pronounce it? Maresca. He, of course, isn't as young. He's 44, but like I said, sort of 45 and younger is considered a young coach. Now, today there have been reports that Enzo is the top candidate for Chelsea. Of course, he's the other coach that got automatic promotion, but he actually won the championship with Leicester City. So he knows Cesare Casadei. He won the Premier League 2 with Cole Palmer and Romeo Lavia when he was at Man City. So he's he knows these players, some of these players already. And maybe the most salient point of all, guys, is he plays possession football. He keeps the ball, and that is essentially what the Chelsea hierarchy are looking for here. Look, man, football is all about being excited and having, signing big, sexy names, and that's what gets everyone going and makes them all confident. But maybe football's changing a little bit as well. Xavi Hernandez, of course, managed, but he's won a title with Barcelona, and look at his managerial experience. Xabi Alonso has been a first-team manager for 18 months, and he's like gonna have an invincible treble. We're inclined to be like, oh, give me these big name experiences, but they're just people, and the big name experiences come with big problems as well. I'm not trying to be, look on the bright side, guys. I'm just trying to be fair here. Do you know what I mean? And all the aforementioned ruled out names, like the Contes, the Mourinhos, maybe they're just way more trouble than they're worth. It's like signings, though, isn't it? Like, you want to sign friggin' Rafa Leao, do you know what I mean, for 120 million euros. Yeah, you don't want to sign, Michael Olise from Reading, or wherever he was in the Championship. What was that Ebe? Do you know what I mean? But then again, Rafa Leao might come to the Prem, struggle, and Olise tears it up. Do you know what I mean? Olise costs like 15 million quid. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. It's not always a big, sexy name that pays dividends. It's the appropriate acquisition, one way or another. So let me know what you think, guys. Of course, I'm going to keep up with the story here as much as possible. Keep it locked. Subscribe. Hit the bell when you subscribe. Thank you for your comments. I love the conversation down in the comment section. If you enjoy my content, like the video, man. Keep it locked, friends. I'll be back. Peace.